Welcome to your number one tech show. This is Take on Tech. And today we continue with the topic we started last week on fact checking. But today we go deeper. We'll be discussing about disinformation and elections, reflecting on the just concluded elections that we had in Kenya. There is so much for you. You are rightly tuned in. This is Take on Tech, and the hashtag is again Take on Tech at KBC Channel 1. My name is Stephanie Ayieta. Today's question of the day, we are asking you, why is it that most data farms have not yet complied to register with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner since rollout in 2019? Share your thoughts with us. The hashtag to use is TakeOnTech at KBC Channel 1. In tech news, there is a slow rate of registration by data farms in Kenya, failure to comply with the Data Protection Act, and internationally, Google loses its appeal over European Union antitrust Android fine. More details into these two stories in our Tech News Roundup. Most Kenyan organizations have not registered with the Data Commissioner since listing started in July. A survey by audit firm Ernst & Young Global Limited shows that only 19% of firms in Kenya have registered as data controllers or data processors with the newly established Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. The report shows that only 12% of Kenyan firms have submitted data protection impact assessment reports to the Data Commissioner since the rollout of the Data Protection Act in November 2019. The Act requires all companies that handle or process individuals' personal data and meet the set criteria to register with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. The firms are required to carry out a data protection impact assessment and submit it to the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner 60 days before processing if it's likely to result to high risk to the freedom and rights of a data subject by virtue of its nature, scope, context, and purposes. Juma Ochola, Ernst & Young Global Limited Trust Technology Manager, said organizations face multiple challenges in their journey to fully comply with the requirements of the Data Protection Act, hence the slow rate. Despite the challenges, the survey revealed some progress. 50% of firms have developed data protection and privacy policies, 26% have a framework, and 19% already have a strategy. Further, 56% of organizations already have data protection officers, an office established by the Data Protection Act and mandated to ensure compliance with the Act, among other functions related to it. Google has received the largest antitrust fine ever handed down by the European Commission, a penalty of 4.125 billion euros. This is after losing appeal of a record European Union antitrust Android fine. It is said Google had breached its laws by forcing Android phone makers to carry its search and web browser apps in order to access the Google Play Store in 2018. Google has since changed its terms. Google says Android offers more choice, not less, and that anyone is free to change their search and web browser apps. But the reality is that most people never stray from the option that came with their phone. Google acquired the mobile phone operating system developer, which today powers roughly 70% of the world's mobile phones, in 2005 for $50 million. The European General Court reduced the European Commission's original fine slightly in final ruling on Google's appeal. It said this was to reflect the gravity and the duration of the infringement. A European Commission spokesperson said it will carefully study the judgment and decide on possible next steps. In In Tech of the Week, we feature a banking app that has been specifically designed to enhance the banking experience of the African immigrant. Here is the story. A financial technology startup has come up with an app that enables Africans and immigrants to easily access banking services and affordably transfer money across borders in a fast, convenient, and affordable manner. The company is taking advantage of the few number of digital banks available, especially those that include additional services such as money transfers for Africans living in diaspora. They have partners insured by Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation and legally licensed across the jurisdiction that Wire settles money in, offering the banking and remittance services. With the motivation of mobile money being one of Africa's success stories, this startup company wants to bring the convenience of transacting on mobile money to banking in the USA, allowing users to transact with each other while enabling the diaspora to send money to Africa in a convenient and affordable way. Its chief operating officer supports this by saying that the African diaspora sends over $50 billion back home every year and loses up to $3 billion in hidden fees and high foreign exchanges rates when sending money back home. Adding that they not only want to help them move money back home in a faster, cheaper, and affordable way, but want to enable them to also store, spend, and transact over 80% of their income that remains in the countries where they live and work. In its operation, customers will be able to open digital banks via the Wire app. Their accounts will allow them to send money to other Wire users for free. They will also use their Wire cards linked to their accounts to remit funds to over 10 African countries. The remittances will be delivered to mobile money wallets as well as bank accounts across the continent. Furthermore, their customers will be able to make domestic bank transfers stateside. There's also a utility bill management feature that will allow them to settle various payments. Additional features include credit access, savings, and investment for immigrant workers.
In today's interview section, we have Evelyn Kasina, who is a family IT and digital leader and works on online safety for children and the ecosystem that's inclusive of parents, guardians, educators, institutions, and the government. Now, Evelyn is the founder of Eviminate Communications, a safety partner for such organizations as Meta, Google, and TikTok in Sub-Saharan Africa. Karibu sana, Evelyn.
Asante.
So she'll be talking to us about child online protection and what parents need to know when their kids are engaging online. So Evelyn, let's just go to the first question. Please, in your own context, tell us, when you engage with children, what do they look as, what does social media mean to them?
For them, it is a space where they can extend their day. Yeah, so for instance, if they had a whole week where, I know parents normally don't have kids on their phones or on social media for a whole week, and then over the weekend, they're given the access to be online, so it is an extension of what they didn't have during the week. It is also a space where they can learn and they can showcase themselves, yeah? And that is something maybe parents really don't know. Mm-hmm. And it's also a place to just chill, mm-hmm. Where they just want to go meet new people, they want to play the latest game so that when they're in their own crowds in school or outside, mm-hmm. they can participate in conversations over what is happening online. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, what are some of the popular platforms that young people like? Yeah. And where would you say they have a preference to some platforms as opposed to others?
All right. You and I are on Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. LinkedIn.
Correct. Yes.
Our children are definitely not on those platforms. Mm-hmm. they're most likely to be on places like Snapchat, Twitter, not even Twitter. They're on Snapchat, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram. Gamers are on Discord. Yeah, those are now for gaming platforms where people just meet and play along. They are on those kind of platforms because first, the content is very short and snappy. Just imagine yourself on TikTok. I don't know if you have a TikTok account.
No way.
But I'm sure you've interacted with a TikTok video.
Yes.
It is short and snappy. And that's what our children really love. They want to be there, get the message, move on. They want to be there, participate in a challenge and move on. And so for them, it is somewhere where it is not going to make them stay for long. Just come, hang out with people and go. And those are the kind of platforms which they find themselves on.
Okay.
Yes.
When you talk of TikTok and Snapchat and I don't know which
Instagram.
Instagram,
Yeah.
that where young adults or the young love to engage in. Are there age limits for them to join? Because I know when Facebook came, they had that age limit. I don't know if they still do, the age limit of 13.
Yeah.
But we still found children under 13 joining.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. As it is, you and I once upon a time were children, and when rules were created for us, we tried our best to circumvent them. These platforms, at any given point, your child has to be the age of 13 and above to subscribe to them. But of course, we'll find children who are lying about their age so that they can be. You'll find platforms like, the gaming platforms, Roblox. I know it's very common in Kenyan houses. You will find children who are about 8, 9 who are in those platforms. For them, it is just to connect and to play the kind of new games. But what they don't understand is elements of like the chat box where a predator can come and just try and lure the child. We call it grooming, where somebody can be lured to go into a chat box and start chatting somebody who might not really be a child. But yes, the age limit is 13. And the security features that I'll give an example of, like TikTok, that has put specifically for kids, is that when they get into TikTok and they're between the age of 13 and 16, they cannot chat. So the chat function is locked. They cannot go live. So that is also locked. And your child is not discoverable. So it means if I am 13 and somebody was to go and search for Evelyn Kasina, because I am a minor, my account is not available to be searched. And those are very, very important security features, which means as a parent who really wants their child to, to be in the time to integrate in these platforms, those kind of things are very important for you to be like very genuine when you're signing up and putting your age limit, because those parameters have been put specifically for minors. Yes.
Tell me, because we still have some minors who will still sign up to such an account, and we know they are below age.
Yes.
And you being like the Sub-Sahara partner for such apps as, TikTok, are there discussions around how to deal with this issue?
Yes. In fact, when we are looking for keywords, when we are searching to know if there are kids who are below a certain age, we look at the kind of language. You would tell when a child who is below 15 how they speak online, right? And the kind of things that they are lured into. So we have keywords that we make sure we approximate the age of the child, and when we find for sure, especially if like parents are creating accounts for their children, but their children are active on those accounts, if they're minors, they're blacklisted, at least so that child can obtain the legal age to be on those platforms.
Okay.
So at least what we really advocate for, especially to parents in terms of creating awareness, is that even if you've created an account for your child, it's important to monitor. I'm going to talk about specifically TikTok, where I know very many parents feel like my child really needs to engage. And if you have a child who is a minor, even less than the age that is required, there's an security app that is called family pairing, where if I'm your child, you create your own TikTok account and pair it with mine. So among the security features, you can also set for me screen time, because you also don't want, as a parent, your child to be online for a very long time. So you set for your child screen limits, what time they're allowed to be there, what kind of content cannot sift through their platform, so that at least, because sometimes the children really don't know what to say no to or what to accept, that family pairing really helps you to keep them safe until they're the age of 16.
Okay.
And so also what we say is by the time you are allowing your child to be on social media, then it should give you an avenue to start discussing this kind of things that we have.
Okay. Now, I think I want to, it just sounds all complex. So maybe you can tell us what are some of the trends that you have observed? And even in those trends, have you observed, are there any challenges?
For the parents who must be listening to this conversation, I don't know if for us who are a little older, we don't participate in online challenges. We used to call them pranks when we were growing up, I want to prank my friend for one thing or another. For the kids nowadays, they're calling them online challenges. And so you will find there are good challenges that come out, and there are challenges that might pose either physical or emotional risks to children. But then out of curiosity, because when we are engaging, they'll be like, I just wanted to see what will happen. And so there are a lot of challenges that come out each and every day that children participate in. Things that they want to go and tell their friends, but then you didn't participate in that, you didn't see that, and it's a hashtag. So you just go online and then you find it, and then it's like, okay, fine, I just put my camera somewhere, record myself, post it. It will give me hits, it will give me likes, it will make me trend. And those are the kind of things they want to do in their social media time. So the challenges is one of the things that I believe parents at this day and age need to start engaging their kids on. I normally put a disclaimer because I know for parents, most of these challenges, they hear them on TV. Our children are not on TV anymore. They just have these small screens. And so there is normally a challenge where if you see an online challenge that children are participating in, it really has dire consequences, you might go and sound it to your child and then it plants a seed. So conversation-wise, come and ask, Bebe Grace, you do online challenges, yes. What are some of the challenges that you participate in? So that at least you see where your child's head frame is. Okay. And then ask them, what makes you want to participate in these challenges? How does it make you feel when you participate in these challenges? And then you can derive a conversation from there. As opposed to going on, and then you'll be like, I saw the blue whale challenge, people are killing themselves, and then the children are like, hey, okay, they start putting their walls up. So it's just a matter of a lot of conversations. I keep telling parents, musi panic. I know these things come fast and furious, and we can't keep up with them. Okay. But when we can sit and have conversations with them, at least they tell us what they're doing online.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So Take on Tech takes a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking more to parents. Please keep following us on our social media handles, and that's at KBC Channel 1 across all media platforms. You're watching Take on Tech, the interview section, in which we are looking at some of the challenges of social media apps and what parents need to know with Evelyn Kasina. So Evelyn, before we went on a break, you were telling us how parents need to engage their children to get to know what are some of these challenges that they are engaged in. Now, in your interaction, because you interact with both the young people and even their parents, in your interaction with parents, what really is their opinion about social media?
It's too much. The kids are spending so much pointless. I use the word pointless because that is something that really comes out. They're spending a lot of pointless time online, and we don't know how to keep up with what they're doing. So those are some of just the words that keep, flowing every time I'm interacting with parents, that they cannot keep up. Every day there's a new technology, there's a new app, there's a new trend. They really can't keep up. And so I feel sometimes that as parents, we have this defeatist kind of attitude. Like we feel so defeated. We have so much already on our plates, then we have to catch up with what our kids are doing. So yes, there's a general kind of moment, yes.
Okay, and in your work then, are there concerns that parents need to pay attention to?
Yes, a lot of red flags. In class, I normally have conversations with children from the age of 5, all the way to 17, 18, where when we're interacting with them, we want to understand first their lingo, because I understand, like, right now the way our kids are coming up, they have a different way of communication, which we might not understand. And then they have coded language where they show distress, like the way we would have SOS kind of codes. And so I think for parents, one of the things that we need to really, really pay attention to is things like withdrawal, things like new words in the house that you really don't understand what is happening. There are children currently who are self-harming to cope with pressures from online spaces where probably they're being bullied, they're being harassed, but then since they don't know what to do, they're harming themselves, then suddenly your child has a change of dress code. Your child who was probably very outgoing becomes very conservative, very reserved, they don't want to talk, or they want to talk to specific people. Those are red flags which I believe parents need to start monitoring a lot, because mental health is not something we really discuss as Africans. We don't know what the signs are. We probably do have mental health issues, but we don't know we have mental health issues. And our children really, at this point, they're really struggling with a lot. They have so many pressures that when we are not giving them an avenue or a space where they can talk to us freely and talk to us in a way that we are listening, not just sharing our opinions in a way that we are dismissing them, it will be a good space for us to have conversations. I'll give an example of a conversation on LGBTQ. These conversations are happening on the dinner tables. But when you find that parents are not even present on the dinner tables, that's a gap. Or we are present, but everybody has a screen behind them. So we are just eating and everybody has a screen. At what point do discussions happen? Because children are watching things online, they're watching things on TV, these shows, and they're conflicted. And that when that confliction happens, they don't know my source of authority. What is my source of authority saying?
Right.
Is my parent a source of information? And so I think parents need to start having, you know, monitoring especially what the kids are watching, but also being there and available to talk about what they're watching and how they're feeling.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, because these platforms are very popular with the young people, are there privacy concerns that parents should be concerned about, or even the young people?
Yes, especially data. Privacy concerns for me would be oversharing information that shouldn't be online. Every time I'm having conversations with children, I share very basic, simple things that, you know, when maybe you're at a mall or you're at a birthday party or somewhere where people are taking photos, if it's not somebody you know, or even if it's somebody you know, ask them, by the way, I'm seeing you with a phone and you're taking photos of us. Where are you posting these things? Do you have my consent, right? You're having a celebration and you really want to show people what you've been doing. If you can post those things after you've left that space for security reasons, that would be an ideal thing. I keep telling parents, you know, we are excited when our kids are going to school, then we take photos of our kids going to school, they're in full uniform with logos. That means that you're exposing content that should not be online. And of course, even when they are registering on the platforms, things like putting their email accounts, the email address online, their phone numbers, where they live, those are privacy concerns, but I think we don't know that they are concerns. So I think what we need to start doing is creating awareness and telling them, personal information can be online, private information cannot be online, and this is the category of what private information is. And then of course, also having the courtesy to ask people, I took a photo of you, by the way, may I post it on my social media? You know, if I say yes, yes. If I say no, you respect that. Yeah, but also one of the things I challenge parents a lot on is at any given point, even in schools, especially in schools, when you do realize that your child in school is going to participate in a club that has computers, does the school have policy to make sure that when they're in this premise, my child is going to be protected because the school has policies on ABCD? What are the security policies? We just take our children to school, wanaenda. We take them at home, it is free-flowing. We need to start having very deliberate conversations around content. You took my content. How long are you going to keep it? What are you using it for? How are you going to destroy it? And I know the Data Protection Bill Act that is there, we have not read it, yeah? To know that if I'm in violation of something, these are the consequences. Until it happens, then you're like, oh, I didn't know, but then it has already happened. So I do believe that as parents, and even because we are the ones who are responsible for minors, when your child is getting onto any social media platform, be with them to register. That's one. Read the community standards, because that is where you are guided on what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to behave. As parents as well, we need to be aware that as a country, we are so progressive to the point that if your child feels violated, there's a child helpline that you can just call and somebody will pick the call and help the child.
What's that child helpline?
116. And I keep saying, just take a paper and put 116, it's a toll-free number, and put it on your fridge, so that even if you're not at home and your child feels like they're being bullied, they're being harassed, they can call that number and somebody on the other end of the line will assist them. And so we need to be able to allow the systems that have been put in place by the government to work for us. And also be intentional on telling our children when you feel a red flag feeling. I keep telling them a red flag feeling is when you feel anxious, you're feeling upset, you're feeling nervous, or somebody's making you have that feeling. You block and report. Call 116 if your parents are not around, because you're empowering that child to know that I'm being given this opportunity to be online, but then when something happens and my parents are not around, this is what I can do.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. I must say, very useful information, Evelyn. So that brings us to the end of the interview section of Take on Tech. We were talking to Evelyn Kasina, who is actually a digital leader and works with children, the young adults, and parents, you know, the ecosystem, that's the guardians, the institutions, and the government. So thank you so much for gracing Take on Tech. Yeah. And that's it from us, from our interview section. My name is Grace Githaiga. Keep watching.
In Innovators Club, we challenge you to try something new. Step outside the box. Sometimes we bring you innovators, and today we want to challenge you with a do-it-yourself hack, which you can try at home with minimal resources. Check it out. That we now draw the curtains on today's show, but still we welcome your participation in today's conversation. We have asked you, why is it that most data farms in Kenya have not registered with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner? Share your thoughts with us. The hashtag to use is TakeOnTech at KBC Channel 1. You can also interact with me at Stephanie_Ayieta. That is on Instagram. And we meet next week, same time, same place. Until then, let's keep it tech. Adios.